That's right, we're live Power 95. You can hit us up on our Facebook page and catch the action in studio. Like I told you guys, joining me this morning will be our own herbalist, Patrick Dells, and of course, musician as well. He's got so many titles. But nonetheless, he's here with me this morning. And you guys are invited to come on the live so you can, because we'll be talking about a lot of important things. And we want you to be a part of this, all right? We really want you to catch what's going on live in studio. So come on into the room and share the live, all right? So let me just give you guys a couple seconds to come in quickly. And we'll go from there. Yeah, you're coming in. So we're gonna yeah, they're coming in. Cool, all over the world right now. All over. What's up, bro? What's good?
Oh man, I'm good, man. Right now, I'm just trying to stay healthy. You know, I'm just right what's up. You can't see it, but it's there.
I know, and that's what makes it so frightening. You cannot see it. You have no idea what this thing looks like.
And a lot of people is not firing on 4 cylinders, in terms of the immune system. So if you're firing on 3 cylinders, you're not firing on 4, 1 cylinder that you're not firing on, get you infected.
Come a little bit closer. Fine, you kind of
a little better now.
Yeah, you kind of.
What I was saying is, if you keep on firing, it's just like a vehicle, If the vehicle is not firing on 4 cylinders or 6 cylinders, only firing on 4 or 1, then you're gonna have a lot of problems. So in the same thing in the body is not functioning on the 4 cylinder that the immune system is supposed to function on, only functioning on 3. It's only not firing on 1. You'll get infected a little faster. Because now the cytokines, which is a protein that is also part of the immune system in terms of keeping inflammation away, but can cause inflammation also, can cause the individual to get inflamed because they're not firing on the 4 cylinders, they're only firing on 3. And that's why a lot of people getting sick, and they also a lot of people have compromised immune system. Lots of people are on some drugs for some kind of either anti-rejection drugs. Some people are taking drugs for lupus, like the prednisone, and these steroids do suppress the immune system. So when viruses or any kind of pathogen come in, there's no way they can fight anything. People who also have kidney disease, heart troubles, COPD, emphysema, bronchitis, asthma, they are also at risk too, because they're not firing on all 4 cylinders. It's just common sense, So you have to be firing on all 4 cylinders. So what I do is I just go in the sun. See that we are locked down now, so I go in the sun in my yard and sit in the sun, and I get lots of vitamin D. But that vitamin D is also a protector. Vitamin E is also a protector, and vitamin C is also a protector, of our immune system. So once people are educated and they could, they know we have the ghost spores and oranges, and we have the tangerines, we have the all the fruits we have here. They are our protectors to help us to fire on 4 cylinders instead of 3 and 2.
So that's what I want to talk about this morning, using our natural resources to fire on all those cylinders that you mentioned, plus additional support that you may have to help boost our immunity. Because every day this thing seems to be changing. One time you're hearing don't do this, then you're hearing okay, you have to do it now. Don't wear masks, now you have to wear masks now. So it keeps on changing every time. So you definitely have to be
top of things,
on top of it, on top of it,
because they're confusing us. And at one time they told us on the first 7 days of the lockdown in Grenada, I was very alarmed to see people out there when I went out last Friday in a line, not 6 feet apart, no mask, and all they're doing is before they get into the stores, they just sanitize their hands. And that's what's unacceptable to me, because if you tell us you're going to lock us down for 24 hours per day, and you said, okay, well, you can go outside without a mask, knowing that you can spew that virus by just talking or by sneezing or by just breathing. So how are you going to have people in long line in stores? Not even, I think I missed one of your posts where somebody was right behind your back, and you know what I'm saying? How are you going to have that? So that means the lockdown makes no sense then, because you still have people out there without a mask. And now you're coming and tell us now, after the week passed, the people was out there without a mask. Now you're telling us to go outside with a mask now.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's confusing.
it's sort of
So
confusing.
I'm saying,
So you have to right now we're trying to debunk the confusion and get folks to understand what they have to do to protect themselves and their families. And you've been doing a lot of teaching on it, a lot of information you've been disseminating
yeah,
on it, and it's not as difficult as folks think it is. In terms of some of the things you can do daily
yeah.
to boost your immunity and stuff like that. So speak
Mhm.
on that.
Well, people feel they have to have a lot of money to take care of the immune system. That's not true at all. We either have lots of herbs. We have lemongrass, right? We have lots of cherries.
This my lemongrass tree in my backyard has become my best friend. I
That's
ignored that. I ignored that growing. It was just there, and I ignored it. That it's my best friend right now.
we have lots of things and over here, and I'm not trying to fight on any system, but our medical system, we have to teach a lot of our people that there is other things than just washing their hands, because I think Dr. Martin impressed me when he said to us the other day. He said, stay away from meat for 21 days. Stay away from the excessive amount of sugars for 21 days, because we know for a fact that refined sugars do compromise the immune system also. Dr. Shiver said that to one of the video that he did, and he's a scientist too. Stay away from the fresh food, stay away from the starches and the sweeteners, and that was some very good advice.
Mhm,
And he's my good friend, and I think he and I understand each other because he's very open-minded.
mhm,
Some of them never mention, they come on the television and never mention about the immune system, and that is our protector. That is the reason why the Most High put that in us, because the immune system have two purposes. One is to protect us, right, from viruses, fungi, yeast, parasites, and cancer cells, right, and cancer.
mhm,
If by any chance we get any one of those diseases, the immune system have another system that go through the healing process in terms of healing the body. That's how the immune system works. But as I said before, there are so many people in Grenada that have so much of compromised immune system because of the way they eat. When these viruses come in and when these pathogens come in, when these cancer cells come in, they can't fight because no. Remember that when a virus come into the system, it comes into cool places like your nose and your eye. That's what they try to cover your nose, because the nose is a very cool area, and that's what they said to us. If the virus gets into the stomach acid kills the virus. That's facts. That's factual. Yeah.
mhm,
Now, in order for us to prevent these pathogens from affecting us, number one, we must have good IgA, what we call antibodies. We must have good IgG antibodies. We must have good IgM, because they're antibodies that attach to the viruses and keep them there. Sometimes they can destroy them, but when they attach to these viruses, they don't let them move to go any place else. So, for instance, the virus can't leave if it has been attached to the antibodies to go into your lung, to stick on the lung and disrupt the function of the lung, whereby it caused you to have troubles bringing in oxygen. That's why a lot of people is on ventilators, because they can't breathe. You see what I'm saying? So once these viruses get in, they go to your nose or your eyes, the cool areas. When they get in, if you have good immunity, I mean by IgA, it's an antibody. And then the body's the whole process. The body start producing interferon and interleukin, their proteins. And then they have the mast cells that will produce lots of histamine. And the
mhm,
purpose of the mast cells producing the histamine, excessive amount of it, is to create an inflammatory process in our body so that the virus can't move anywhere. While the inflammatory process is there, then the immune system come around that area to try to fight the virus. That's number one. Number two, the hypothalamus gland raises your temperature so that the virus can survive. Because remember, we said before that the virus can survive in heat, because the scientists also tell us that the sun deactivates the virus too. People didn't know that. We live in the
we're
sunshine.
learning.
And that is the reason why when the Spanish flu came in 1918, it started in France and it ended up in Spain. And the reason why they called it the Spanish flu, because it ended up in Spain, but it didn't start in Spain. It started in France. It killed 860 million people, because in the spring it shooted up, and then in the summer it went away, but then in the fall it came back. You see what I'm saying?
Mm, mhm,
So in the
mhm.
heat it couldn't survive. You see. So that's the reason why our body have a mechanism to protect us. So the body in its wisdom, the hypothalamus gland raises our temperature so that the virus can survive in the heat. You see, because the body raises the temperature. Now we don't want the fever to go over 102 degrees Fahrenheit because you can get convulsions. So what we do in herbal medicine is we use some plants. Lemongrass is one. Thyme, small thyme. You know the Sivan thyme?
Yeah.
The small thyme. The small thyme in the scythe have both antiviral and antibacterial activity.
And we just use these things to season meat and.
That is the purpose because they're food herbs.
Oh.
So we call them food herbs. So we have food herbs and we have herbs that we use for medicinal purposes. But some food herbs can also be used for medicinal purposes, like the thyme and the cloves. So when the thyme is in your food, it is protecting your system from viral invasions. So the thyme is also good for that. So we use the thyme for the fever. We use another herb called lemongrass. We use another herb called boneset and catnip. So what we do with these plants, we make the client or the patient drink these herbs so the fever won't go a little higher. But the fever is there to keep the virus from going into the cells and replication the cells into the envelope. Because when the virus gets into your cell, it can replicate itself. Once the virus has to replicate, it has to make copies of itself. You see what I'm saying to you? And that's where the trouble starts. You see what I'm saying? But the body have another system that can still identify that virus, although it is in the cells. But they don't teach us that. They only teach us to wash our hands and stay 6 feet from people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But they don't teach us about the immune system and how it works. And that's why a lot of people is going to get sick long term, and they're dying from the virus or from the pathogen because they were not taught how to keep the immune system healthy. Because they're only firing on 2 cylinders and 3 cylinders, not 4.
Because I was reading that even though you get the virus once, you could get it again.
Well, that's, Dr. Gupta asked Dr. Anthony Fauci that same question. And he answered very promptly. He said, when you have measles, right, the measles can come back, Right. See? Because the body is wise. So once the body kills the virus, right, the body have 2 cells. One is called T helper cells, and one is called T suppressor cells, and then one is called B memory cells. So let's look at the T helper cell. The T helper cells, the one to go around. The one called cytotoxic cells. I want you all to look it up for me. Cytotoxic cells kill viruses, and they kill cancer cells that is invaded by a virus. That's the job of the cytotoxic. Then you have the one called NK cells, natural killer cells. Yeah, they call them natural killer cells. Look at the word cytotoxic. These cells release chemicals to destroy all these viruses and cancer cells. So usually when the battle is won by our immune system, say the immune system kill the virus, right? The immune system have a T suppressor cell that come and say to the immune system, no, the bad guys who killing first. He says, listen, you kill the coronavirus, you kill the herpes virus, you kill the HIV virus, you kill the HTLV virus, you kill the cytomegalovirus, you kill the hepatitis B virus, HPV virus. I want you to know, cool off. Because if the T suppressor cells do not tell these cells to stop the battle, these same cells can turn on us and kill us long term because they're so dangerous. And that is what happens with people who have lupus. The same immune system which is supposed to protect us, when people have lupus, the same immune system turn on them and start to damage the kidney and damage the heart and damage the lung because it's an army that we have. You see? So the doctors give them prednisone or steroid to suppress the immune system so that they don't fire and kill them off. So once the immune system kills the virus, the suppressor cells come and say, okay, whoop, stop. And then your phagocytosis cells will go into the bloodstream looking for any cell that is infected by the virus. And if the phagocytosis see any cell that is infected, he will kill that, murder it. Now, the B memory cells come in and says, okay, I am going to memorize that virus. Can't come back. Because as he come back, he put the B memory cell put up an award to him. He said, you can't come back here because there you go now. Now, the only time they could come back twice is if the cells is mutated, if the virus is mutating, meaning it's changing around. You see what I'm saying? So the same virus that was in China was not the same virus that was in Iran. And the same virus that was in Iran is not the same virus that was in Spain.
Oh. Because we
And
see
that,
different strains everywhere. Like
yeah,
everywhere you have a different.
you see what I'm saying? People, because people not educated and they don't do research, they don't listen to what these people tell them. You know? So usually a virus will come into Grenada and then it have different strains. And then you, Aruna, might get it and might get over it in 14 days. And another person might get a different strain of the same virus and then die from it or get respiratory failure. You see what I'm saying to you?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So, folks are asking. You started talking about the time.
Mhm.
Okay, Canada is locked in. The time they're asking how do we use it for drinking, and maybe we can go into some other herbs or other stuff around our homes that we can use as well to help our immunity.
Yeah. Well, I use thyme as a tea. And I
Mhm.
said before, thyme and these other thymes and cloves and garlic and onion, they're all food plants. They're all food herbs. And the purpose of these plants is to get, when you eat the foods, if there is any kind of bacteria or any kind of parasites in the foods, these herbs will kill them before they get into your intestines. For instance, cloves is put into the ham, right?
Mhm.
And the purpose of the cloves being there is to kill the worms in the ham.
Really? I thought it was for flavor.
No,
Well, that's what I put my
so
I
it
put my
is.
clothes in ham
That's what it
and I'm
is.
like it's for
You see,
flavor.
the older people were very wise, you know. They used to stick the cloves in
Cloves.
the ham because they know the ham have worms.
I thought it was for flavor. Sorry.
So that is the reason why when we're killing parasites, we use cloves. And we
Mhm.
go around the full moon because the full moon is when the eggs are hatching. So you can kill the eggs and the worms at the same time. So 3 days before the full moon and 4 days after the full moon, you kill any kind of parasite
Mhm.
with cloves. Because cloves and cinnamon, what we call spice in Grenada, have a chemical called eugenol. And eugenol acts as antibacterial, antiviral. And that's the reason why you find a lot of toothpaste have cinnamon and cloves.
It's interesting you saying that because someone here just sent us a message.
Mm.
As a survivor of COVID-19, I relied on local remedies, lemongrass being one of them.
Yes,
In the
sir.
first 917, that's in the
Wonderful.
US.
Yeah, and we have a few people who on my group who got over the same coronavirus by using ginger and the thing that we are going to use, and they don't have it
So,
anymore.
what are some of the lemongrass? How do you use it?
But if it's remember, herb come in different forms.
Mhm.
You have roots, you have barks, and you have leaves, and you have flowers. Leaves and flowers float, and root and bark sink. See? So, for instance, lemongrass is not a root. So you have to steep it or infuse it, meaning that you're going to take a teaspoon to a cup of hot water, and then you're going to cover it for 5 minutes and strain it and drink 3 cups
So
a
you
day.
don't boil it?
Nah, you're not supposed to boil lemon.
See, I boil out all the thing with lemongrass. I put the lemongrass on the high fire and boil for about 5 minutes. So wasting my time all the time.
You waste your time. You're killing all the chemical, the compound of the plants. So because
So wait, you cut the of
Cut
course
it
you know just
fine.
the these.
yeah,
So you get hot water.
yeah, and you take a teaspoon of it. You could take a few of the strings of it, maybe say 4 or 5 strings, and put it in some hot water and cover it for 5 minutes. Now the roots, like the ginger and the cinnamon, you have to boil them because they're
Mhm.
roots. And when you're boiling them, you have to cover the pot, but you have to put it on a low fire because with these plants, the heat have to remove the chemicals from because the roots, the root, the chemicals are more embedded in the roots of the plant.
How long? For how long?
15,
you boil?
20 minutes.
15, 20
Put it on a low fire, not
Hi,
blazing.
please. Like I was doing my lemongrass. So a whole week of drinking lemongrass in bed.
There's a misconception on how you have to use plant because everybody want to be a herbalist now.
I thought you boil it, and
Right? Everybody's a herbalist in the worst.
so you have to steep it. No
Yeah,
boiling.
and then you have to know,
So you have to know which ones to steep and which ones to boil.
yes, and then you have to know what is the condition of the lung.
Mhm.
So in our medicine, you have a hot and dry condition of the lung. You have to know what herbs to use there. You have a dry and damp condition of the lung. You have to know what herbs to use there. You have a cold and damp condition of the lung. You have to know what herbs to use, and they have a cold. So, for instance, if you have a cough and the cough is dry,
Mhm.
you can't use lemongrass. You got to use sea moss.
Okay.
If you have a damp condition of the lung, meaning that you have a cough and it's damp, you can't use sea moss. You got to use lemongrass.
Because there's a dry cough and there's a wet cough.
There
You
you
know, when you're
go.
wet is when you have the mucus and other stuff.
Exactly, and the dry is when you don't bring up any mucus.
Mhm.
If you have a cough and it's very dry, but the mucus is sticking in the bronchi, in the lung tissue. We use some expectorant plants. So we use like elecampane and the same small thyme to kind of like, dig up the mucus of the lung. So people have to know, because a lot of people may use the plants and don't know what condition that they have of the lung. And then they use the wrong plants because they hear it's
So
good for the
then
lung.
you defeat the purpose.
You know what I'm saying? That's what it is.
Right.
But I want to mention too again that sometimes when you're using one plant, it takes a longer time to work. So what I do, I create formulas. So I will put about 8 plants together that have antiviral activity that is good for the lung, but it's also good for heat in the lung too. And then I will put them together and use them, and you get a better spectrum of the plants in terms of just using one plant alone. You know?
Somebody's mentioning moringa. How is that? Well, the person who said they got over COVID-19 by using local remedies used lemongrass. They used ginger, cinnamon, clove, and moringa.
Yeah, well, moringa is not an antiviral plant,
Mhm.
but it's a plant that have lots of minerals.
Mhm.
It's like sea moss. Sea moss have about 92 trace elements that the body needs 102. It have 92 of them. So then, when you use these sea vegetables like sea moss and moringa, because minerals are like buffering agents to vitamins that are very acidic, like vitamin C, ascorbic acid, that is. Usually, it will kind of buffer and keep the body more alkaline, so that your body is more susceptible to all these pathogens. And for instance, I'll give you a good example. In the thymus gland, right on the neck, right over here, it's called, that's part of the immune system. It's called the master gland of the immune system. It's called the thymus gland, and the thymus gland shrinks when we get older, but it don't lose the capacity of taking care of us in terms of our health. It producing these lymphocytes. But if you're lacking in vitamin C in the thymus, and if you're lacking in zinc in the thymus, and if you're lacking in B6 in the thymus gland will shrink prematurely, and you get sick faster. You see what I'm saying to you? So the minerals from these plants of moringa, they will feed the thymus. They would feed the spleen, because these are part of the immune system, the spleen and the lymphatic system, which house your macrophages and your T lymphocytes. And the purpose of these macrophages is to gobble up all these bacteria and stuff before they could harm us. And the bone marrow, that's where stem cells coming from. So, for instance, in order for us to produce good cells from the bone marrow, we're going to have to get B12, because B12 acts as a nanny to the cells coming from the bone marrow, which are very baby cells. And they have
Where do you
to
get that B12 from?
you can get it from grains, have it, rice have it, but the wild rice, not the regular.
The regular rice.
The right, not the right, the polish. But split peas have it too. And that's why a lot of people boil the split peas. But usually you could steam your split peas and keep the vitamin B12 there. So those are things that we can use.
Can you like steam it for a little bit and just blend it to
You could do
get
that
a
too.
smoother?
Yes, you can do that too. That's what I do.
You
And
do it with ginger.
yes, I just use ginger. And I love ginger and cinnamon and bay leaf. I use them a lot. And you can use these foods to extract the vitamin B12 that helps the cells from the bone marrow to nourish and become mature. When they are mature, they move into circulation and end up in the thymus for our protection. But lots of people eat in the night time. They eat and go lay down and sleep. They eat the food in their belly, so they can't fight the virus. So when you eat at night,
And meat,
yeah, and all this food,
which
because
takes forever to digest.
beef take 18 hours, fish take 12 hours to digest.
Fish take 12 hours.
Yeah, chicken takes 7 hours.
I ate fish last night after 6, after 7.
No, you see, I'm teaching people don't eat meat, don't eat flesh in the night time. You have to eat protein in the day. Protein should be eaten in the morning time. A lot of people don't know that because we were taught the wrong way. A lot of these dietitians come and tell us about the pyramid diet. The pyramid diet is an acid diet. So if the pyramid diet that these dietitians are here teaching was so strong and good, how come the hospital full of people? Because they eat that pyramid diet. That pyramid diet is a diet that you have 6 food group in one plate. Come on. They send us conflicting signal to the enzymes. So they're saying, yo, Patrick, what I want to break down for us? I mean, all confused, all 6 inside my belly. So they're confused. And once you have confusion, you're going to have troubles long term. So if you're eating flesh, like eating chicken or fish, if you do eat those, eat them in the daytime. So if you eat chicken like say 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock p.m., the chicken don't move and they go to your intestines. When you're eating chicken at 7 o'clock and going to bed at 10 o'clock, you're dead.
And we wonder why we're sick and getting all these diseases. So
That's what I'm saying. So I don't eat. I eat once per day, 4 days per week. So I try to give my organs.
so this lockdown and affected you no way. You're accustomed with that.
Yeah, man. It was,
You'll
you
be
know,
alright.
But you see, what I did was in February. When
Somebody's
I,
asking, what about plant protein? Can it be eaten at night?
what kind of plant protein? You have pea protein, you have, and peas is not a protein food anyway. A lot of people, that's a misconception again.
Peas,
Peas is not a protein food. That's what they make us think. That's not
like
true.
green peas.
Green peas is not a protein food. They have 70% starch and 30% protein.
Because if I eat green peas past 12
Yes.
o'clock, it's a wrap. I can't sleep.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
So-
forever riding my stomach.
Yeah, you know why? Because it has starch and protein.
Mhm.
It's a complicated food too. You know, so it has 70% starch and 30% protein. But what you have to do, you have to remove the polysaccharides. So when you're making your peas again, make sure you put some pumpkin in there to bind it. You won't get that problem. Or you put some aniseed.
Mhm.
And aniseed binds it, so it don't give you that gassy feeling. You know what I mean? Or you could drink some potato juice or some cabbage juice, and that will make it go away.
Because somebody's saying so many people using any and everything, and we have no idea. We're just using it because
Yeah,
it's there to
Because
use.
it's there to you, they don't
Mhm.
understand, and you have to know what to mix. So, for instance, what I do for people who want to keep the lung healthy, I ask people when they wear a bandana, the bandana, like this here.
Mhm.
If you're wearing your bandana, right? Remember we said before that the virus like cool places to enter. So when your bandana and when your mask is all good, but when you go to the atmosphere, what happens in the cool?
Mhm.
So I tell people to take some peppermint oil.
Yeah, I've
and,
been doing that.
and then on the bandana,
Mhm.
the bandana, it heats up the nose and the eyes, can't get in. So
I
you
did
put-
that yesterday when I went out.
Yes.
I put it on my mask and I was good. I was
Yeah,
good.
you know, and there are techniques that I teach people, and they say, "Wow, they didn't know that's going to feel so better." But we have people who doing the steam with peppermint oil.
Yeah, I was about to ask about the peppermint oil because I realized there are different types. There's the one for aromatherapy, and you also mentioned if you making the tea, you could drop a couple in it so that to ingest. So is there a difference in peppermint oil,
No.
essential or non? Is there a difference?
No, peppermint all have volatile oils. So the essential one, they say is not in just a castor oil. You might see some castor oil said not for internal use. That's not true. You can still use them for internal use, except the black castor oil. You know what I mean, which is more toxic. But if you use the peppermint oil, if you use one drop, what I do in the morning when I get up, I just do one drop, I put it on my tongue, and I swallow it. And what it does, it cleans up the digestive system and prepares it for move the breeze from there. And if you put it in a glass of warm water and you squeeze a gold spoon in there too in the morning with a pinch of cayenne pepper, it keeps the blood alkaline, but it also moves the breeze from the digestive
Ghost
system.
for
Mhm.
cayenne pepper and
Yeah, so
drop of pepper.
you get one glass of warm water in the morning,
Mhm.
and you squeeze a gold spoon in there. You can squeeze a lime too or a lemon, and you put one drop of the peppermint oil in there and a pinch of cayenne pepper, and you just shake it up, and you could walk with it during the day, and you just sip it during the day. What it does is keep the blood more alkaline and to keep the digestive system all heated. But because of the cayenne pepper on the peppermint oil, when it gets into the throat and it gets into the bronchioles, viruses coming to your lung because they don't like heat. You see what I'm saying to you? So all this thing about these vaccines and this and they want to create that's gimmick for people to go get fearful and go and run and take a vaccine. You know what I mean? That's how the system runs.
So what do you recommend
For what?
in terms of keeping our systems or immune systems? Like you said, firing on all cylinders. What would you recommend?
The key is the bloodstream. The key is the bloodstream. You must keep your bloodstream clean because your blood is your life. That's just common sense. The Bible tells us that too. He says, strangle it, don't strangle anything. You have to cut out strain the blood out. That's common sense. So the first thing is to keep the bloodstream clean. In order for us to keep our bloodstream clean, we must keep the 4 organs of elimination healthy, meaning that you have to keep the large and small intestines, which is the earth. You have to keep the liver, which is the most important filter of the blood. You have to keep the kidneys well. And once these organs can filter the blood properly without disruption, then the heart in turn will be able to pump the blood through the vessel walls properly, or the circulatory system. And when the blood is clean, you have now the blood moving quick. Because if you look at your blood through a microscope, you can't. It's going to get you dizzy because it moves so quick. When the blood slows up because of infection and bad eating habits, and because the organs of elimination have to work so hard, then you start to have troubles with the blood, because now all your protector, which is your white blood cells, is running in the bloodstream, and some of them is outside the bloodstream. Some of these white blood cells go in the little creases, in the little hole, they squeeze themselves in, looking for these bad guys. So if the bloodstream is really clean, you give them less work to do. Another thing I want to mention again to that, the older people used to go out and play in the dust and stuff. That is a way of helping our immune system. Yeah.
You said it all the time.
Yeah.
Go outside and play. Go to the house and play.
Yeah.
I was thinking like you were really sick. Once in a while you got sick. But now children these days are so sickly. Every little thing, a little sneeze, and they catch it.
Because the teacher, that's wrong with now the whole modern system is all messed up, it's complicated because they're not going to the older heads. And the older people was wise. They used to give us really good cleans and wash out in the school time, come eat a mango, they wash us out. Because they were wise. They knew for a fact that the intestines is where mostly all diseases start from. So they go there. And they knew for a fact that once you clean the bowels, the large intestine, that is, the other organs will breathe better, because the large intestine is what I call the sewage system. And if that garbage man don't pick up your garbage from the street, my goodness! And if you don't move that garbage out from in here with the sewage system, that's common sense. Your blood can never be clean. That's the key. So don't eat it in the night time.
So, I've been using Zebra Peak.
I'm afraid about I'll use it too.
No, you bad.
If it's tasted like that's a bit.
I put the 2 leaves in some hot water, cover it.
Woo.
And I drink that at least three days
It's
a
a
week.
serious plant. But what I do, I mix it with black walnut and cloves, make it even more bitter. Watch me see you drink Zebra Pick, anything in your intestine's gone. You murder anything, any worms inside, they're gone.
I do it 3 days a
But
week.
the problem with it is the drop of sugar levels pretty fast.
Oh.
So watch it. The only drawback to Zebra Pick is for men, it made them become infertile. Can't have children.
Really? What about Coralie?
All of them.
Same
All
family.
the bitters. All the bitters is good because
And
bitters.
Mobby bark.
Mobby bark is good too. Mobby bark have a compound called berberine. It's like golden seal and Oregon grapefruit and barberry. They all have this substance so it acts as an antibacterial agent. But as I said before, mixing them together is good because all the bitters. You have 5 flavors in it. You have bitter, right? That's it for your digestive system to increase the digestive juices. So people who are taking chemotherapy should be using bitters because it increases the appetite. Then you have the sour, and the sour is for you to prevent getting wrinkles. So you see ghost spoke, you have a ghost spoke.
Yeah,
Always I say, but,
have ghost spoke.
right. But what it does, it prevents the flaccid tissue from becoming flabby. That's what sour is for, and they want it for your liver. See? And then you have the sweet, and you have the salty. Salty go down and out, go down and in. And you have the sugar goes up and out. So you have to burn sugar as fuel. And then you have the pungent, like the garlic and onion, they go for your lung. See, so you have the flavors.
Another person again with this moringa and impotence.
Impotence? I'm dead. We're going to fix impotence. Impotence come from.
And now somebody just want to know about black seed oil.
Black seed oil is very significant for the circulatory system. And it's also for your heart. It's like flaxseed and borage oil. They have a lot of these they have a lot of EFAs, which is good for the cell membranes. Because we know that if we use flaxseed oil, if we use black seed oil, if we use borage oil, if we use blackcurrant oil, they're very important for the cell membrane because they call them EFAs, meaning that they're very significant because our cell membrane need EFAs in order for our cell membrane to produce what we call the good prostaglandins, or the PGE1, which is the good prostaglandin to help with inflammation or prevent inflammation and bad circulation. If there is not enough of these EFAs in the cell membranes, then what happens is to us is we start producing the PGE2, which is the bad guys, and then we start to have inflammation, you know? So black seed oil is good, but I always tell people when you pass 50, what's the oil? So I don't use the black seed oil. I use the black seed powder. Because when we get older, is our organ don't work as before. So you don't want to put too much oil in the system. And when this become rancid and cause high cholesterol and stuff like that. Especially if you have trouble in your liver. So you can start to get a fatty liver. You don't want that to happen.
Listen, we gotta go back to what our grandparents, etc., were doing, and we thought they were crazy, and they just wanted to just, as we would say, give us bush, and not realizing that they did not have to know the scientifics behind it, but they knew that it was working for them. So we definitely have to start looking closer at what they did. But the only thing is, like you said, a lot of us don't know how to use them and when to use them. That's the problem. And I don't think they denied it. They just gave us just drink that, drink this, drink that now. But it worked.
Yeah, it worked. Yeah. After I had my stroke, I had a stroke when I was 32 years old. My mom died from 2, and I had high blood pressure. And during my high blood pressure, I got a stroke. And from that, I started using plants after I came off the drugs. I started using herbs, and I never looked back. Now I don't take any drugs at all. And I'm trying to teach people how to come off wean themselves off these drugs, because we can't do that, because the body heals itself. We were only taught by a certain sector in society that there's no cure for anything, but that's not true at all. The body has a mechanism to heal itself if given the right nutrition. And because we abuse our body and we abuse our organs on a regular basis, putting food in there 3 and 4 times per day, the organs eventually end up harming us long term. That's just common sense.
You spoke about last time you were talking about vitamin C, buffered vitamin C. Is that as effective as the natural vitamin C you get from your fruits, etc.?
More effective. You have to eat 100 oranges to get 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C per day.
How much oranges?
100 oranges.
To get 1,000, that's what's recommended?
Well, the daily allowance of the RD allowance of vitamin C is 30 milligrams. I say 1,000 milligrams now. Because the environment that we're living in today is so toxic. We have so many carbs in Grenada right now. So, and vitamin C is a water soluble vitamin. So you have to repeat out during the day. So usually I will tell people, load up on more vitamin C, load up on more zinc, because load up on more B6 and B12, because they only allow us to have 5 milligrams of B1, 10 milligrams of B2, the RD alone, that is. I'm saying you have to load up on more now, because the environment that we're living in today is so toxic, and we have so many things on the inside of our houses, cell phones, smart TV, this, that, fans, they all letting out radiation and toxins. So we have to load up on these vitamins, not 30 milligrams a day, but I just take 5,000 milligrams per day of vitamin C.
And you get that in the buffer?
Yeah, I use buffer. Buffer means if you take ascorbic acid, which is the plain vitamin C, that's very acidic, because vitamin C is an acid vitamin. If you take too much of it during the day, it will irritate your kidney. You got to pee it out. So when it's coming down in the urine, it's actually irritating your kidney. See, and that's bad. So what I do is I use calcium and magnesium and potassium, the minerals that buffer the vitamin C. So it stays in solution at 7.0. So when I take a lot of it, I irritate my kidney.
So the vitamin C, you can get it already like that without having to do the magnesium, etc. There's a particular brand you would recommend?
I like Allergy Research. They make very good products. You have to be a doctor to buy the products, though. But I could get it for them. There's another company called Douglas Laboratories. They make wonderful products, too. They're run by doctors, too. Open-minded doctors and scientists that does everything from natural sources. So I look at these companies, another company called Corona or Pure. They make some very good products that work. You see results when you take it. Not the regular companies that say that people like for $15, $16. True business. They might be a little bit more expensive, but they really work. You see that difference in these products when you take them.
All right. So Canada, the herbal store in Canada that you can recommend that you know of?
Scarborough. I think there was one in Scarborough when I was in Canada. I can't remember the name of it. I think they had some good products, but if she could leave a number or an address, I could get my friend to get the name of the herb store there for her.
Okay. All right. So before we go, just want to Patrick eating once a day. I'm skinny like a pole and I'm always hungry no matter how much I eat. I can't survive on one meal a day.
I understand that, and some people actually. I don't want people to come to just because because I say I eat one meal per day. They should do that. I'm not saying that's where I live.
That works for you.
That worked for me because after my stroke, I got very wise, and I don't want to force my organs. And when you reach a certain age bracket, your organ don't work as good as before, so you must give them a break. So you could take a little break sometimes once or twice, a day or so, but not in the nighttime.
What about fasting? Do you recommend fasting?
I fast
Does it
every
work?
month. I fast every 6 weeks for 10 days. We eat no food, just water for the first 3 days, and then after the fourth day, I bring in juice from juice. That's why I run. That's why
I tried it on the third day. I felt like I was gonna pass.
No, don't do it. Don't do that. Don't do that yet. You're not ready yet. So what to do is start off with one day per week. So you say, okay, I'm going to put out Monday for this fasting, and after the Monday, the next 2 weeks, you say, okay, I'm going to do Monday and Tuesday, and you start the 2 days because you're going to get sick eventually if it doesn't know what to do it. You have to be guided. So once you're doing one day per week, then when you get used to that one day per week, you could add on another day, and you could go for 2 days and 3 days, and then you could, it adds up eventually.
Get into
because
it.
after you see the first 3 days are the worst days.
Yeah, the third day I was like,
Trust me, you get headaches and
I felt like I was seeing like
yeah,
things moving in front of me
Yeah.
that was not even there.
and I get headaches and bad breath and stuff.
Mhm.
But your mind will be so pure and clean. But after the fourth and the fifth day, you're good to go. You don't want to eat anything.
So you just have to do it gradually.
Yes, gradually. So we have people on program. We have program for women. We have a program now for women only. We have one for men. We have program to get to the parasite. We have program on our group. So the people could go in the group and join our group. It's on Facebook. It's called Come Chat with Patrick Dells. You can see all the programs that they're free.
Yes.
And you just follow this program.
So come chat with Patrick Dells. All
Yeah.
the questions that you're asking
Yeah.
here that we may not have time to go through all of them, you can go check it out on the group and post your questions, and he'll be more than happy to assist you. Final question: what other products can you use that contains iodine?
Sea moss, kelp, bladderwrack, suma. They're all vegetable that have lots of iodine. But
Let me-
bladderwrack have the most in all of them.
What is bladder?
Bladderwrack is like sea moss. So you have bladderwrack, it's a sea vegetable. Sea moss is a sea vegetable. You have kelp, it's a sea vegetable. You have one called suma. They all sea vegetables. So they get the iodine from the sea. So because you need iodine to make thyroxine for the thyroid gland. So if you're underactive, if you have an underactive thyroid, meaning you're eating less but you're gaining weight, you can use iodine to help you make thyroxine instead of taking that drug called levothyroxine. So iodine is important. Iodine also is important for getting rid of heavy metals from the body too. So I mix iodine with the charcoal, activated charcoal, and cilantro and celery and cucumbers and EDTA and some what we call bentonite clay. And they will remove any kind of heavy metal from the body, including even viruses too, and bacteria and stuff like that.
Something else before we go. CMOS. Because I see people doing CMOS all kind of things. They throw in milk, they boiling it up, they're making smoothie, they're making punch, thing for back, thing for head. What are you supposed to do with CMOS, really, for you to get all of those minerals out of it? Because I see CMOS and I'm seeing it being bottled all over the place, all different websites.
They
CMOSing.
They confuse.
How would we get the most out of
They
CMOS?
confuse because the best way to use the CMOS is with the salt, not in a tea form. The only time you use CMOS in a tea form is when you have an ulcer, if you have gastric ulcers, if you have duodenal ulcers, because it is an emulsient plant, meaning that it soothes the area. If you have leaky gut, like a food leaking out of the gut, it's so sticky that it plugs up the holes in your gut. If you have leaky gut that causes you to have eczema and psoriasis, you can use it in a tea for that purpose. Or if you have a dry cough, you can use it as a tea to moisten your lung tissue. And so that's the only time I would use it for that in terms of a tea form. If it's in the sun and the salt evaporates, I just take all the salt from the CMOS, I bang it on a plate, take the salt out, some of the salt, what do you mean 90% of it. I leave 10% of the salt in there, then I will soak it. Then I will use the salt and I will put the salt, if I'm making a soup, I use the salt from the CMOS note in my soup, in my taste. And then I put the CMOS in my soup 1 minute before it finished cook. So I could eat it as a noodle. or blended some coconut water. So in that way, you're getting the benefits of the sea moss, the 92 mineral that it has. Once you put it in cow milk, it's dead. And it's no good for no back. That's the habit of it.
So how long do you soak it for?
I just took it overnight.
Overnight.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then I will take it out and just put it in a blender and blend it up some
So do
coconut
you
water.
use the same water that you blend it in as well, or you throw away the water?
No, I
and
use
mix
the
it
water
up?
in my soup.
Or you use the water in your soup?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just remove it from the water, blend it with
Coconut water. Yeah. And I
So
will-
there's
I will
no
put that-
boiling of it
No, I don't
prior
boil
to.
it. No. I will only put it in my soup when my soup is almost done, so I can get the benefits. So I put it about 1 minute before in the soup, and I eat it as a noodle, and that's why I get the minerals still. Or we blend it with some coconut water, and I put a ripe banana in there, and I put some goji berries and stuff like that, and I blend it up, and I will drink that. In that way, I get the benefit of the sea moss. When you put the sea moss in cow milk, you're creating more mucus in your system. You don't waste that time. And enough for no back business and no sex. Yeah, joke business.
So you walk with your some products. Of course, I've been using those. Might I add?
Oh yeah, give me
So-
the antiviral, right?
Yes, I'm antiviral. Mine,
Yeah.
but it's finished though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Sure,
finished.
fine,
I have to
something.
get a top up. So maybe you could just tell us quickly about what you have.
This is my that's products I make myself. What I did was I worked with a biochemist, and we got some herbs together from different countries, some Western herb, Chinese herb, Caribbean plants. We put them together, all antiviral. I put them in an antiviral formula. So what I do is to protect myself from viruses, I will just put it on my tongue, or you can put it in some juice of water.
Mhm.
Then you have protection from the viruses. Plus, some of these herbs, the herbs they call isoteas, that's very effective for influenza, but it also gets rid of heat in the body. So usually when you have anything that heated, we move it out, but it's also keep the immune system healthy. So that's the one I created. I created about 27 different formulas. Then I have this one here called Astragalus echinacea golden seal, and I have another herb called balloon root flower. And what the balloon root flower do when they get into the lung, and any virus in the lung that is affecting the alveoli of the lung, to prevent the lung from bringing in oxygen, this herb stops that.
Okay.
And then I have one called daily detox, that is constantly daily detoxify our organ on a daily basis. So when you go out in the environment and you pop this daily detox, it keeps all the organs and the lungs and the kidney and stuff healthy.
Okay, I don't have that one.
Yeah. One of the few, definitely.
Alrighty. So yes, and folks, if you want more information, you can follow Patrick on Facebook. Where can folks purchase those things? And as we get the all clear and folks are ready to move again. Where can they go to get those things?
Ooh, boy, right? Come
Full
up on
up?
Christy. Ooh, if you see orders like crazy, I have orders to send out and send them out yet because the post office is closed. And people are getting results from these products. So it's Christy Books, KRISTY BOOKS.BIZ. You can order from there, but I think the website is closed down now because we don't want people ordering and then we can't send them out.
Can send, yeah.
Yeah, so we have the website closed down, but not for the local people. So for the local people in Grenada, they can call 416-2310 or 421-9604. And then because we're in lockdown now, we can deliver it to them, but only for local people for now. But the website is closed because of the
virus.
virus.
So we ask where they can get the balloon flower root. It's hard to get this in the States.
There is a number I can get to you, and you can give it to them that they can call, and I can tell the brother to send it to them if they need it. It's a very important plan, very significant for the long.
All right. So, folks, any further questions? You can go on to Facebook. You can also join the group. Come chat with Patrick Dells and post your questions or anything you might need clarification on, and they'll be more than happy to assist you. So those of you on Facebook, go to Facebook, come chat with Patrick Dells, join the group, and there you'll be privy to all the discussions and conversation that happens. And of course, Patrick also goes live on a regular. So if you follow him, you'll get the live updates. So you'll be able to, get more of what I'm discussing here. So that we're on radio. He has all the time in the world to be on as long as he wants.
And I write the music in the
And also, so before we go, we're in the Inside Reggae-matic. So I'm gonna close off with some new music that he has been working on lately.
Yes.
So what's up with that?
Show love, man. Well, right now, we were doing some music with Steel Pulse,
Mhm.
and that's Steel Pulse that did that for me. This song right here, we did that in New York. And we had some harmonies done by the Steel Pulse singers. And we're working on an album now. We have one out now called, I think released on the 15th of April, I believe. It's called Sellout.
Mhm.
That's going to release, and we have this one coming after that. And we be working on an album now, you know. Because I have the time now, so I'm home, so I'm just writing. I have a studio in my house, so in my free time I just write songs, you know. Yeah.
So look forward to new music as well as making sure that you're healthy, right?
Yes, man.
Because I'm telling you, music, not only herbs, people don't understand the power of music.
Music is a
Music is what
powerful
has
thing.
been getting
Oh,
me through
man.
this. Listen, music is what has been getting me through this period. I'm not gonna lie. Music,
Music is a powerful thing.
it is. So, folks, check him out. It's new music. Show love. We need a whole lot of that. And I want to say thanks to the folks who are showing the love, sending out. See, I got my stocks. I got the lemons. I got gospel. I got tambrans. I got my sweet potatoes. So
Yeah.
folks are really showing love in this time,
Yes, yes.
and I'm really grateful for that.
Come on, people, show a little love now. Oh, yeah. Oh, God is watching. Oh,
So they're asking that you take us out with your song. So let me start it again so you can.
Yes, sure. You know.
Show a little
oh, yeah.
love, love.
Oh, yeah. Ooh.
Show a little.
Oh,
Show a little love. Show a little love now.
every day is only poverty I'm seeing. Molestation, poor mothers, they keep mourning. Them youth them lost in a system that's not moving. Every day now, murder seems like it's nothing to some people. This world seems like it's 90% evil, yeah. Nations war against nations with no reason, no. So come and help me say now.
People are show love, man.
Come on, people, show a little love now. Whoa. Come on, people, show a little love now. Whoa. Come on, people, show a little love now. Whoa. Oh, God is watching. Oh, God is watching. Who take the blame for killing our children? Is it our leaders or them evil force behind them? The stars and moon will give them light till judgment come. Who run come say they care about the people? Them hypocrites and thieves, their heart is on the evil. Emancipate your mind to love in every season. every season. Oh, come on, people, show a little love now. Oh, you got to show a little love and hold your neighbor hand now. You got to show. If you're black and you're white, we gotta show a little love now. Oh, you've got to show a little love now. Oh, yeah. Cause God is watching. Cause God is watching. He's watching. God Almighty. Oh, yeah.
Yes, God is watching. Huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Show a little love.
Listen, woman.
Who take the blame for victimizing our women? Where are the fathers while they molest our children? There must be a way to solve the problem. It's only love we have to show now. Come on, people, show a little love now. Oh, I want Would you hold your neighbor hand and show a little love? Hey, you got to show love, girl.
Only love.
Now more than ever,
Yes.
trust me, now more than ever. It's always an absolute pleasure. We're gonna have to do
Bless
this
the
again.
love. Yes, man.
So,
Give thanks.
we're gonna shoot you a message and let you know.
Yes, give
Yeah,
thanks.
because we
Bless
gotta
the
keep
love.
on teaching, man.
Yes, all the time, you know.
So
Thanks for having
thanks
me.
so much
Bless the love.
coming out and teaching as always.
Yes.
Appreciate it a whole lot.
Give thanks.
Yes,
Appreciate
man.
that. All
Thanks
right.
so much, guys, on the line.
Bless the
Thanks
love,
for
everybody.
being a wonderful audience.
Yes.
All 500 plus of y'all. Really appreciate you taking the time out to learn today. And of course, each one teach one.
Yes,
all right?
ma'am.
We can definitely
I
do
love your
that.
neighbor as yourself.
Yep.
Every day is a
Doesn't get better than that. Thank you so much. Good Tuesday. I'll catch you tomorrow around the same time
they keep mourning.
for another show.
Them youths, them lost in a system that's not moving. Every day.